Mohr with Foothills Chapel, and one of the big questions that comes up in a lot of people who come to our chapel is, who should I have for my officiant? And you know, you don't even know what questions to ask, do you? I mean, how many times do you shop for a minister? It's a pretty rare thing. So I want to give you a few good questions to ask. You can ask them of me, you can ask them of anybody. The first question is, who is recommending this officiant? Whether it be a minister or whoever. If you're not a member of a church already, and of course you would choose your own minister in that case. But if not, perhaps your grandmother or a parent or somebody like that is recommending somebody that they like. But it's much more important, I think, for you to have a minister that really speaks to you and your values and what it is that you want to have said on the day of the wedding. And I have to tell you that here at Foothills Chapel, we've seen some people that have just allowed somebody to just come in, and just because somebody gets recommended, that doesn't make it a good fit. So don't just go with that. Take the recommendations, thank them for it, and then move on and continue your search. A good question to ask also when you're talking to anybody is, do you like their voice? That may seem a little bit a tacky question to have to ask, but a minister needs to be able to project to an entire crowd of maybe 200 people. A minister needs to be audible and heard. And I think it's important that the voice be calming, that there be, you know, when the minister is maybe not cracking a joke, but using a little bit of light humor, that the voice goes along with that and is well integrated with what's being said. So kind of keep that in mind too, the officiant's voice. Do you like the voice? That's more important than you might think. A big question is, how flexible is your officiant? Some of them will just say, and if it's your minister at your church, then fine, you know, you don't even have to watch this video. But if it's somebody that you're just going to and you just have a meeting with them and they say, here's my ceremony and this is the way it's going to look, and I want you to just look this over because this is the way it's going to be, that really doesn't really speak to you. That person doesn't know you and is not taking the time to get to know you. So have a get-to-know-you meeting with the minister, and I think you'll be much, much better off. The next thing is, with the flexibility, is of course that you can come with your own ideas, and a good officiant will be able to take those ideas and say, yes, here's a way to make it flow really nicely and put it all together. What is the background of your officiant? Is your officiant somebody who works at a regular church? Is it somebody that, you know, I mean, some of these people that come in here have no background at all. My brother is just going to read a ceremony that I found on the internet. And so then the brother stumbles through, and then if anything goes wrong in the ceremony, this officiant has no background to deal with it, and that's something to be aware of. Also, you want to get a sense, you know, the word minister means to serve, and so if there's a religious slant that a minister has, like I'm a Presbyterian or a Methodist or whatever, or a Baptist, any of these kinds of particular religious slants, that's fine as long as they're not necessarily going to be imposed on you if you yourself are not a Presbyterian. So you're looking for somebody who feels like they can serve people in a fairly universal way. Whatever their particular doctrines are, what you believe in is very, very important on that day. Are you also looking for a church to attend? And many ministers will try to get you into their church as part of the process. Fine, if that's what you want, by all means, but don't allow yourself to feel pressured to join a church while you're going through this huge process in your life, making very major life decision of getting married. Let that be something you decide together at a more gradual and quieter time a little bit later. What moral criteria do you have to meet? And this has been a real shocker for me. There are definitely ministers who will insist that you move apart if you're living together. There are ministers who insist that you be of their religion or have other moral guidelines, that you're not allowed to have children. They don't want to do weddings for people with children, or the people that have ever been divorced. These are, in my mind, not people who are serving you. So put it out front right away. If you're calling a new minister or an officiant, just say, okay, I'm living with my boyfriend and we have 3 children, and can you perform my wedding? And that way you can find out very, very quickly and very efficiently if they have moral expectations that you have to meet. Do they require premarital counseling? Now, I've done some research on that, and I found that if a minister forces you to do premarital counseling, it has no positive impact or negative impact, for that matter, on the success of your marriage, statistically speaking. So if it's required, it's really because they think it's necessary, but if you think it's necessary, then that's a great thing to go ahead and get the counseling that you need. and to get the support that you need to make your marriage strong. But if you don't feel the need for that, don't let yourself be pressured into having that. The question about what donation is appropriate for a minister can also be confusing. Sometimes ministers are too shy to ask. I'm not. When people ask me, I just say, here's my requested offering, and I just make it clear what it is. And if it's not a good amount for them, we talk about that some more. So I'm not afraid to talk about that question, but some ministers are. Do me a favor, though, if you have like your minister at the church or whoever, if you're doing that, don't just give them $20 because they have to really, there's a lot of time that they're putting into preparing for your wedding. If they just won't give you an amount, then, I don't know, offer $200 or something like that. And that's usually enough to at least, help out a little bit. How many meetings will you have? Some ministers require multiple meetings, a meeting a month for 6 months. If you're not sure that works with your schedule, again, it's a flexibility thing. I perform weddings for a couple where one guy's a truck driver, or one of the guys in the military, or something like that. You can't have those kinds of meetings. So if you want multiple meetings, decide what you want, find a minister who can provide that for you. Find out if the officiant will be at the rehearsal. For myself personally, I can be at a rehearsal. I ask a little extra for it, but sometimes it's good to have somebody there as an anchor, because an officiant can really run the show much more easily than you can, even if you know technically what has to be done, just because people are, they're always a little afraid of us ministers, so that helps a little bit too. If you want to invite an officiant to your rehearsal dinner or reception, you're welcome to do so, and if you feel a sense of kinship or friendship with them, feel free to do that. Don't be offended if they say no. I mean, for myself, I'm always on a diet, so I usually say no for that reason. Other people might say no just because they want to get back with their families, and so for many reasons, ministers may say no. But don't feel obligated to invite them either, because you're probably spending $80 to $100 per person. So if you'd like to, that's fine. You want to ask the officiant how they're going to be dressed. This is pretty typical for how I might dress for an outside wedding, and I have a robe, but I can dress in either way. Others, you might want to ask about changing the tie color even to go along with your color scheme, and I'm happy to do that. Some ministers not so much. The ceremony preparations, if they're really, really elaborate, you need to find out about that. And this is something that's hard to define, but it's important, and that is, do you feel taken care of? Do you feel that your officiant really cares about you, is really listening to you, and is really going to cover for you? Because I'll tell you, at the moment, 3 minutes before the wedding, when you're very, very nervous, the minister just comes in and puts his or her hand on your shoulder and just says, I got you covered, I promise, I'll take care of you. That's really good. If the minister's always making fun of you for being nervous, that's not so great, perhaps. So, these are just a few things to think about. Ask the minister these kinds of questions, and I think then you can find a really good match. And that way, you want a match made in heaven, don't you, for your wedding day? And the minister can be a part of that. Thank you.